The samii is writing a song, and it may just be one we've already heard before. Could she be about to reveal the truth about herself and the real Samantha Maxis with her song in the Mansion DLC 3 map for Black Ops 6 Zombies? In this video, I want to discuss this song that Sam mentions and what it could be in preparation for Mansion. And considering how quickly the last two maps have dropped, I felt it pertinent to get this discussion in front of you all as quickly as possible, for I'm sure this map will be upon us sooner rather than later.
What are you doing up so late, Edward?
What? Oh, nothing. Just tinkering with some subroutines.
You know I can see you, Edward. You haven't touched your keyboard in an hour.
Yes, well, perhaps I got a bit lost in thought. Does that ever happen to you?
No.
I suppose it wouldn't.
Are you well, Edward?
I'm fine. And you? How's the song?
I just finished it.
Really? Can I hear it?
No. It's not for you, Edward. You lack the artistic soul to understand what I'm feeling.
Do I now?
Yes, you do. My song is about life. While you concern yourself only with death, I see it in everything you do.
If that's what you think, then perhaps you're not as smart as I thought you were.
Or you are not, Edward.
You want to know what it means to be alive? You never will. You're a pile of microprocessors etched into sentience. I may not be a saint, but at least I have a soul.
After all the things you've told me about yourself, Edward, are you sure about that?
So we know from the intel we just listened to that we can start with the baseline of the following. Sam is writing a song, and a song that she feels Richtofen lacks the soul to understand. She follows up that the song is specifically about life, and that Richtofen consistently only concerns himself with death. Obsessed about the demise of his family, and potentially the rest of the dead from the Etherverse that he bore witness to, although his end goal may be life in death in trying to restore said family. But which one really is truly alive? The artificial intelligence, or Richtofen, who might be biologically alive, but constantly runs on autopilot as if he is AI himself. Sleepless dark nights, bags under his eyes, nightmares dissociating from the real world. Let's take a closer look at quotes we hear about both of them, as well as what we know from prior intel drops on the maps, to try and get a better idea of what she means by this. Richtofen is by far the easier of the two to understand here, when she suggests that he concerns himself only with death in a way that is true, as his largest goal as of now seems to be centering on undoing death, if anything. The death of his wife, who is yet unnamed, and his son Samuel. When he first formed Requiem, their motto was Vicurimus Mortem, which means power/victory over death, or thou shalt conquer death. While at a glance the motto would obviously mean defeating the undead menace, as we see his plan to bring his family back to life materialize, it shines to light a second meaning. Perhaps the same can be said with the accused obsession with death. Well, technically, yes, he is obsessed with death, it is only in the pursuit of returning life to someone. But at the end of the day, nothing is stopping him from living a true life. Nothing is stopping him from going and finding and building a new family or a new life of his own. However, he is so attached to the past, unable to move on. Whilst your family being taken from you would cause anyone severe trauma, it takes great mental strength to be able to move on past that and build something new and bright. He didn't need to go on this dark path of atrocity, roping in so many and even the world along with it, in pursuit of restoring his old life. He could have simply built a new one, and this obsession has corrupted him to his soul. Taking a deeper look at why the samii would write a song about life requires us to theorize a bit further, though. We've discussed in prior videos, which I will link on screen and in the description, that Sam is likely lying to the characters and has a master plan of her own in mind. She says she wants to return Samantha Maxis from the Dark Ether, essentially returning her to life. This would match this song, and her implications that she is more focused on life than Richtofen ever could be, and is the true one to be alive. However, we've seen her be dishonest about Richtofen's whereabouts, knowing the Terminus crew are so searching for him, despite her being the one to whip him into the dark ether. She is doing so in order to trick the Terminus crew into retrieving the Sentinel artifact for her personally, claiming to them that it can be used to retrieve the real Samantha, similar to how Richtofen likely wanted to use it in a similar way to retrieve his family. We get plenty of dialogue from the characters in the tomb discussing whether or not they trust the samii, and while some do and some don't, this much degree of different dialogue about this subject matter in the tomb clearly means it is something Treyarch want us thinking about. I will play many of those clips for you right now.
What worries me is why Richtofen wants it.
Until we find him, we'll probably never know. Hell, I still have my doubts about why Sam wants us to fetch it.
Sam knew exactly which buttons would get us to go after the artifact. This might all be a bit too easy.
Look, she's not trying to eat, drool on, or otherwise murder me. Plus, she led me to Franco, so, you know what? Cybergirl's all right by me.
We have both carried out questionable orders, but doing the bidding of a Project Janus supercomputer feels...
I know. If it turns out Richtofen's pulling her strings, you get to say I told you so. Cool?
If the Sentinel artifact works like you promised, tell me the Maxis we bring back will be... my Maxis.
Impossible to predict how the Dark Ether may have changed her. I only have data on what it did to Zykov. Let us start with getting her back, then take it from there.
Now this is something the crew did seem to suspect on Citadel Day more, Kava in particular. However, it was not as numerous as we've seen on the tomb. We're clearly on the precipice of a betrayal, and they are already sussing it out. And will they potentially confront her soon about it, maybe even right as we jump into the Mansion DLC, depending on how much time passes to let those thoughts brew between the maps. The samii saying she only has data on what the Dark Ether did to Zykov definitely ties to how we've been talking about how it affects everyone differently, and that the Forsaken's 40 Earth years, 4 Dark Ether centuries line may not necessarily be true for everyone. The Dark Ether is made of many bubbles, many different passages in time. That affects everyone, especially depending on their psyche, differently. For that, someone in there, another human in the Dark Ether for 40 Earth years, may be a lot longer or even shorter than 4 Dark Ether centuries. And the mention to this as well is interesting when we've theorized about in videos that Zykov may be in the core of the samii orb beneath the elevator shaft in the laboratory underneath the mansion. Zykov at the core may be the samii's battery, using the mimicking effects that he had, as well as giving her said Dark Ether powers, combined with the fact that the AI is built on the real Samantha Maxis, who similarly had powers. There are 2 ways she may have this knowledge on Zykov. She obviously has access to all of Janus's files and mainframes, so she could have quite easily gotten it from there. But if Zykov is literally powering her inside her very machine, then she may have gotten this information literally from the source, because they may be merged together as one and the same entity. If the statement by the samii about returning Samantha back to life is also a lie, what could the Song of Life really be for her? As we've theorized about in those prior videos, I believe that the samii's master plan is to use the Sentinel artifact to attempt to create a body for herself, escaping the orb underneath the mansion she currently is stuck in, this making her into, essentially, a real-life Etherella, with the same voice and power over interdimensional monsters. After all, before Sam was recasted, Julie Nathanson not only voiced Sam, but also Etherella. This would make far more sense to the subject of her song. Not Samantha Maxis's life, but her own, giving herself life, essentially making her the real Samantha Maxis. This dialogue between Ravenov and the samii definitely has me feeling like she is jealous of the real Samantha having life and the connection and human bond she had with the characters as a result, that she, as an AI, has not been able to have the same or if any level of bond and human connection.
What was she like, Sergei?
Who?
I don't mean to pry. It's just that I have her memories. I talk like her. I don't know what it was like to be around her.
Shut up, man. Why do you care?
Because we need to understand each other if we are to work together, Sergei. I need to understand how you felt about her.
It is complicated.
What happened to you after she left?
After she abandoned us, you mean?
I thought she sacrificed herself.
Different words, same outcome.
They're not the same.
They are. We are here and she is gone. What else is there to say?
Sergei, please. This is important. We need to trust each other.
Why? So I can pour my heart out to you, and then you can turn around and do the same thing she did?
No, of course not.
You want to know what happened when Maxis left? I lost myself. The moment after her sacrifice, I turned my back on everything she stood for. Does that tell you what you need to know about me?
I'm sure she would understand, Sergei. She would...
She would what? You said it yourself. You might have her voice. You might even have her memories. But Sam, hear me when I say this. You are not her. The sooner you come to terms with that, the sooner we can start getting somewhere.
Honestly, in this interaction, Ravenov sounds in love with Samantha here, and with them having a connection pre-Black Ops Cold War, as we even saw him burn his cigarette into a picture of them in the Citadel Daymore intro as if his heart is broken, as he even puts the cigarette in his heart. I wonder if there did used to be a spark in their history, but she obviously eventually moved on to Grey. It really sounds like that, as he's being extremely childish and selfish in framing her sacrifice as abandoning them when she did it to protect the world. I understand he's gone into a dark place following her sacrifice and turned to alcohol addiction, but I don't think it would have fallen so much so if there wasn't a love interest here. I think that is skewing his perspective, but this love, whether romantic or platonic, that Ravenov and the rest have for the real Maxis, such as Grey saying, "My Maxis," probably angers the AI, and in her mind, she will never be that. She is not good enough as the real Sam. She may even want to rid the real Sam to replace her, leading to an epic confrontation, or even is successful in pulling the real Sam with the Sentinel artifact out of the Dark Ether, but tries to merge with her or even destroy her in the process. Potentially, we will even see a heated argument with our characters over how the Sam AI believes she is the real Sam, only for them to deny affection, leading to a boss fight. I think the Sam AI wishes she knew what it was like to be the real Sam and to live. She longs to be alive. That's all she wants. The intel of Richtofen discussing the song with her is even called Tortured Artist, implying that her mere existence and will to want to create is painful, is torture, especially if Zykov is at her core. He could be getting tortured as his power is extracted to charge the AI, explaining the angry Russian and German girl quote on Terminus.
Sometimes I think I hear voices coming from within the reactor itself. Many sound like people in pain, crying out, lost in despair. Others, like the Russian man, sound angry. And there's also a woman, but sometimes she sounds more like a girl. She might be German, but I can't quite focus on what she's saying. I said I'm not superstitious, but I am starting to believe that some kind of life exists inside the Dark Ether.
If the very same mainframe is charging the C-Tower as the SAM AI, that could explain this. Alternatively, the SAM AI trial machine is located in this C-Tower, so that could be where these voices from within the Dark Ether are supposedly coming from. Her consciousness seemingly bleeds between the realms, as we see with her powers and smoke in the Liberty Falls intro cutscene. She can manipulate the Dark Ether and bend it to her will. But regardless of how hard her mere existence may be, Richtofen has literally been experimenting and torturing her too, as he did to the real Samantha, likely interrogating her for information on the real Samantha's role in the death of his family, as well as any information on how her powers and memories can potentially help to restore them. She has likely begged Richtofen to be free many times, as Eddie says the following in the Liberty Falls intro.
I swear to you, Sam, you've never been free!
But by free, she is likely talking transcending the orb itself into a physical body, a soul. We've also been given one other Sam and Richtofen conversation in Citadel Day More. Let's take another listen to it and see if we can get more clues into their relationship.
July 14, 1989. The time is 9:35 a.m. and I am going to attempt to synchronize the synaptic algorithm module's lower and higher functions for the first time. Commencing low-level startup procedures.
Voice routines, online. Memory interface, online. Systems interface, online. Loading memory lattice. Loading complete.
So far, so good. Let's align, synchronize, and then start her cortex simulation.
Loading cortex scans. Loading complete. Synchronizing fabric. Synchronization complete. Adding cortex daemon to process list. Rebooting.
How are you feeling, Sam?
Where am I?
Voice modulation will need to be modified. Recalibrate GPS. She shouldn't need to ask where she is. You are with friends. My name is Edward. You are my guest.
Good afternoon, Edward.
You just arrived. I'm looking forward to spending time together. Tell me, what do you remember before waking up?
I remember a knife. A promise I couldn't keep. A morning that would never come.
Do not worry. You are safe here.
Blood on my hands. But where are my hands? I don't understand.
Sam, those sound like nightmares. They are not real.
How? How do I know what's real and what isn't?
Because I will help you. Would you like that?
Yes, I would like that very much. Thank you, Eddie.
This intel lets us hear Sam's first initial boot sequence and conversation with Eddie. We've already broken it down in some prior videos, one of which I'll link on screen and in the description if you want to check it out after we're done with this one, so I'll instead just highlight what here is important to us. The biggest factor for us in this intel is Sam's initial personality and memories on boot. This helps us identify when exactly the AI's memories were taken from the original Samantha, which helps us to get a much better view of who she could be as a person. A makeshift one at that. Sam mentions the last thing she remembers before waking up. A knife. A promise she couldn't keep, and a morning that would never come. These things are all related to a very specific point for Samantha Maxis, her time in the Dark Ether during Firebase Z.
When I opened my eyes, there was blood on my hands. I stared at it, not knowing if it was mine. Then I saw the bodies. Omega soldiers. They looked like victims of a frenzied attack. An attack that continued even after they were dead. I have a knife. I do not remember where it came from. I just want to go home.
When she was rescued, we would get various intel from her journals describing her time in the Dark Ether, where she mentions killing a bunch of Omega soldiers with a knife, tortures herself over breaking her promise to protect Samuel, and suffered under the eternal night of the Dark Ether.
I am sorry. It's always dark here. I used to worry that morning would never come. But now, I choose to embrace the darkness, to find the light within myself. I am not a bad person. I am a good soul. I want to believe that. I have to believe that. I wish I could prove it. Maybe I shouldn't. Why do I care what they think of me? I really know me.
These memories now being the last thing Sam has from the actual Samantha indicate that the memories she took were likely from Sam just after being brought back to Requiem headquarters post her Firebase C rescue. This is probably when Requiem took a snapshot of her. So if this Sam is still thinking on her broken promise to Samuel and her capacity for violence, as well as wanting a body to come to life, could all of these things factor into her song? And the torture she is referring to may not just be her existence as an AI, but the true pain that the real Samantha Maxis, and now she, feels. Samantha has lived a broken life. Throughout the original zombie storyline, with the terrible upbringing of her father Ludwig, to Richtofen experimenting on her, to her being thrown in the teleporter with her dog Fluffy and becoming in control of the zombies, to living in the lonely house with Eddie in Monty's world, to the breaking of the cycle and witnessing all of the characters dying in front of her, to then having to shoot Nikolai in the head with a Welling. That's even before entering the new universe. Then entering the new universe, only Richtofen was chosen for adoption. She was left abandoned, which made her want to destroy something beautiful, leading to the actions of her attempted assassination on Richtofen's life, with Weaver carrying it out for her, which ultimately led to Richtofen's family being in the wrong place at the wrong time, which she never intended and feels great guilt over. Then she ended up tortured by Dr. Peck under instruction of Richtofen on Firebase C before being thrown back into the dark ether where she longed to escape from. Her mind became fractured in there, ridden with amnesia. She was lost and suffered extreme psychological trauma. And this is the very point of where it seems the SAM AI was booted from, meaning that her first thought in the world would have been that of pain, of torture. The art I believe she wants to make is not just a song, but her literal lust to create life. One thing we've yet to bring up is that Samantha, throughout the entire zombie storyline, has already had a consistent leitmotif used as a theme for her. One of the most well-known zombie songs. Originally premiering in Moon as Samantha's Lullaby, the song has gone on to be reinterpreted again and again and again, with tracks like Samantha's Desire and Samantha's Ballad. This theme has been far too commonly used for Samantha over the years to not be the song she is referring to, surely. Right, the song she wants to create, or at the very least, a part of the song. Even if the song isn't literally just Samantha's Lullaby, I can't imagine a world where the melody doesn't play a major part in a song written by Sam, even if it is an AI copy of her. If only there was some song we'd already heard that was Samantha's Lullaby but had lyrics. Perhaps even lyrics that would describe Sam's want to ascend as an interdimensional protector like Etherella with a real body, and her tortured memories of what happened with Samuel. Originally, when this song premiered during Zombies Chronicles, many of us theorists were very confused when trying to deride real meaning from it. After some studying, many of us, including myself, settled on an interpretation that it was from the perspective of Samantha's mother. However, after taking a look back for this video, I feel as though it's just as likely to suggest that the song is the song that the s.a.m has written to explain her want for life. Not only does she want to give herself a body for her own desires of power, but seemingly to also reconcile the cruelty that Samantha Maxis's memories are haunting with her. Her betrayal of her promise to protect Samuel. We've discussed before in prior videos that it seemed like Samantha Maxis had some sort of connection with Samuel, Richtofen's son, whether psychic via Mr. Peaks or some other way, considering she has psychic abilities, or normal human conversations without Richtofen knowing. And she would go on to use this connection to inform Weaver that Samuel was out of the house, and that he could now move in to try and kill Richtofen. But this was incorrect information and caused Samuel's death all along, with Richtofen's wife in the failed assassination that followed when Weaver burnt down the house to try and cover his tracks. This song is her stating her purpose for attempting to return to life to protect this beautiful, sad, lost child, in a way that the young Samantha never was. She was this lost child, but she never had anyone to protect her, and the real Samantha Maxis failed to protect Samuel similarly. She'd use her powers over dimensions and prima materia to rescue his soul from the dark ether and restore his body, just like Richtofen also plans to do. But this way, she would be able to protect and stand with him forever, as her power over the universe would allow her to do anything she wanted, rather than simply bringing him back for a relatively normal life like Richtofen may want. This is why her song is about life more than Richtofen's, not just about eternal and protected life. And this second verse, I feel, affirms this theory quite a lot. The "her love will find you" and "held in her arms" speaks as though the person who would save them isn't the speaker, even though the rest would have been from Sam's perspective. I believe we are seeing a jumble of identity with Sam and her memories here. She views the memories of the past she holds as herself, even though she also understands she is not literally the original Samantha Maxis and is instead a different person, even though she experiences these memories in the first person. She also sees the person she would become with a body as a new person too, not simply the AI clone that she is now. She would become a new. This explains the pivot from her in the chorus into the I in verse 2, where we get our biggest piece of evidence. Now obviously when the song was initially written, this was never the intention. However, now this song can be reinterpreted through this lens and be a double entendre, meaning originally maybe from the perspective of Samantha's mother, and now from the perspective of the Sam AI. In verse 2, she quite literally describes what happens with Samantha Maxis and Samuel. She smashes his childhood dreams, ruining his life, and then leaves him in the flames, just like what happened with Samuel. I truly believe this song is going to be the song that Sam writes, and it will be almost a mix of a peek into her motivations as well as being as close as we will ever get to a true confession from Samantha about her involvement in Samuel's death, which is bound to happen at some point. If the Sam AI is remembering this and thus writes this song as a metaphor and a way to realize it, then this would be a way for the real Samantha to confess if she potentially even played an active role in intentionally sabotaging Richtofen out of jealousy and abandonment, even with her not needing to confess herself, but a byproduct of her memories. But what do you think? Let me know if you agree with this theory in the comments, or do you have another idea for what the song may be about? Or do you have another idea for what the song the Sam AI may be writing may be? If it is not Remember Forever, I definitely think it will be some new variation of Samantha's Lullaby, whether it's a new song or a new, potentially, techno rendition of it, considering she's an AI after all. Or perhaps could it be a new musical piece we've never even heard of before, unrelated to Samantha's Lullaby? Honestly, I find it unlikely with how much this song has been used throughout the years, and it being her key theme. But let me know your thoughts, and with this I will leave you with the rest of Remember Forever. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you with plenty more videos to come.